stepping out like you did right now and shared your question is what I think Julie was talking about. Step one of letting go of fear is reach out to people and get help, share your struggle. And that's also what Jess has helped you become so have such explosive growth in that BC Non TV bootcamp. You went out and you shared your recovery story to the people that were strangers there, and were vulnerable. And I think that a lot of us want to kind of cover ourselves up with perfection. But I heard about this from, I don't know, some Disney creative that said that right away you want to share your vulnerability. They want the hero to show their flaws in the first scene, the first second of the movie, because people don't fall in love with perfect people. They fall in love with the avatar that's going through the struggle and then through the journey becomes the hero. And we're all in our own kind of hero's journey. But here we are trying to be the perfect hero or something like that. And we don't reach out and share our vulnerabilities, our struggles. And I think my notes here from what Julie said was, to let go of fear, reach out to people, and then release perfection, have a mantra or positive affirmations, and try to reframe the negative. I don't know if I missed anything else, Julie, from what you said, but that's what I've taken notes about what you said. So with that spirit, does anybody want to share another fear or struggle that they have that we can maybe get Julie to answer and give you some tips and tricks? Just unmute your mic and go for it.
Mark, did you fancy sharing about the...
Or have Dave call you on it, right? Like that.
Yeah, or we'll call you out if you don't go.
So, or we'll just call you out. We'll volunteer you.
Well, I'd like to we covered like some love and past traumas and things like this. So it'd be really good to step into a little bit the business side of, like Mark's talking about procrastination and what happens when you're an entrepreneur trying to start your journey. It's a classic time when like endless fears pop up. So Mark, did you want to share anything?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dave.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been on a little backstory, not all of it, of course, but yeah, I've been through some stuff. But 3 years ago, I realized that no one was coming to help me, and it was going to have to be me, myself, and I, right, to get out of what I was into the future that I wanted. And I went through burnout, high school teacher, all sorts of craziness. And like you, separated for about a year now, and just, but starting a business. So what happened was now 2 years ago, I had watching Vision and Mind Valley. I took his program, and he said I had a 3-year vision and make it big enough. Like it needs to not be realistic to you. It needs to be out there. And I did that. So working 2 years on creating this business with programs and courses and I'm a transformational life coach. So I accompany people through transformation from A to Z, mind, body, soul, spirit, heart, whatever you would like. So the creation of all that took 2 years, and I'm a perfectionist also. So that was good times. It's fun. But when it came down to, and I'm still struggling with it, to launching this, communicating the message, the marketing, I've learned it all, but I'm about to market right now, and I'm freaking out. I'm losing my mind because as soon as I do it, it will become real. And there's the fear. Once it becomes real, I actually have to be this person. I actually have to get down to doing it, and it's scaring the crap out of me. And so I've noticed that in the last 9 months, I'm kind of, yes, I had stuff, but I'm finding reasons to push it another week, or, I got to take care of my daughter this week, so I got to focus on that. So I'll leave the business on the side. And that's what's been happening for a couple months until like this week. It's spring's coming up. So I dealt with those fears, though. I got some help. I got some energy workers. I did some shamanic journeys. I've been through some whole bunch of stuff where I go and I pardon that little child inside me that has all these messages like Suki, like you're not good enough, you're gonna fail, So I'm right now. What's hitting me is the fear of becoming that actual person that you dreamt of, and letting it loose. So I've been procrastinating. It was clear.
So it's like a like a imposter syndrome. I had a quick question. Are you doing that full time? Like that's your full time thing to launch this thing, and that's kind of your income coming in. Is there any like income pressure? I know sometimes that's a crazy scenario to think, I'm going to go headfirst into this scenario and put it out there, and that's now like supporting me financially.
Well, that's a great question. So I'm in a situation where I sold the house, so I had a chunk of money, which is slowly going away, but I'm all in. I'm all in. I have been off work since September. I've decided that was it. There's no way I'm going back to teaching, so I'm taking that time and that bundle of money and going all out. So I'm taking courses. I'm getting to the point where my actual program is being launched this week, and I had some new banners going, and
oh, congratulations!
In March, I'm delivering my first course in March, early March, and that's it. It's got to get done.
Yeah, congratulations! Firstly, that's amazing. Kind of been going through a similar thing of trying to get my course done, and I ended up taking or buying a course to actually help me launch my course. Nina's in the same program as me, so it was really interesting for me. I was definitely spending a lot of time. I probably had my course outline like a year ago, the similar lines to you, Achieve Any Dream stuff, a life transformational thing. I had the outline so long ago, so there was no reason why it couldn't be done 2 or 3 weeks later. And me and Nina are now doing this same course, and we started doing the course, and like after 2 weeks, it's ready to go. I'm like, what the hell was all those months? What was I doing? I mean, I'm doing another full-time job as well. Yeah, but so many perfectionism was massive. Oh my God. I ended up making this masterclass, and I like it. I like the video, but it was way too long, and it's out there right now. And probably has like 2,000 little video edits of all the mistakes and trying to get it right. And it took me months. Like, it took me 2 months to get that video out there. And I realize now, if I throw, like, I always try and focus on 75% to 80%. Me and Jess always talk about this perfectionism now of 80% good enough, 75% good enough. And then before I start thinking about anything more, just trying to block out all those thoughts, just put it out there, like upload a video before I even rewatch it. I find that's helping, like saving so many hours now. But yeah, it almost feels like when we step into the big entrepreneurial journey, it feels like what you're talking about is just a requirement. Like, it's going to come up, and it'll come up big. I know a lot of us here have been through it. Julie, what do you think?
Well, I've known Mark for a long time, just because we went to the same school together. He's got this amazing program. So, and I've told them this in the past, where he's got like a 30-day program, and it's completely amazing. And for him to launch it, would be the perfect thing, and really, like, his whole program is done, right? It's just the marketing aspect and hitting the send button, or just make it go live. But he's a transformational coach. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, right? Not necessarily monetizing it, because he had a full-time job as a teacher. However, sometimes we just need to step outside the fear and just step into our role and say, you know what? I'm doing this. So he said a while ago that he left his full-time job. Perfect. So he did. He's stepping into his role. Now, the fear of the marketing aspect, just do it. Just hit send. Just put it out there. His coaching program is amazing. He's got it all built. It's all finished. It's just sitting there, and it's not, no one's seeing it because it's not visible. But I've taken his coaching program, and it's just, sometimes it's just doing it. It's stepping outside your comfort zone and just clicking that, go live button, or, that's it. I mean, because there's no reason not to do it. It's a mindset thing. Sometimes we limit ourselves. Well, maybe I should take another course on this, how to launch a coaching program. No, you already have a 30-day coaching program, could be a master class. It's amazing. Just launch it. Or you could say, there's a lot of people I know for myself. I'm like, well, I need this course, or maybe I'll be ready when I do this. No, it's always, I'm letting go of fear and I'm stepping outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to get uncomfortable with the uncomfortable, and that's it. I'm going to get it done. And you know what? If I fail, if it doesn't work, if I don't succeed, if I launch something and, I hear crickets, nobody is buying into my program, then I can look at different avenues, people to help me out. But if you never try and you find excuses and you keep procrastinating all the time, you'll never, ever know. So I just feel like sometimes so many of us are just wasting time. I've heard stories where coaches waited 4 or 5 years to launch a program. And then the second, they didn't even change anything. And then the second they took a course, they were forced to step outside their comfort zone and then launched it. And then they said, you know what? If I would have done that 5 years ago, I'd be in a different place right now today. So it's just moving forward with confidence. And I know he can do it, and his program's solid. So he started with like a big program, like a masterclass program. So all he needs to do is condense. He can repurpose all the content and launch like 5 days, 7 days. He can do anything with that content, but he's got a masterclass right now. So to feel, fear coming up, just the marketing aspect, let go of fear and just move forward with confidence. That's it. You're capable, and you are a transformational coach. You've helped so many people. So just put it out there. Yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there, but yeah, you just have to do it. That's it.
I love it. Nina?
I have another question. What happens can you give us some benefits of when fear has been helpful in your journey, and how the difference of, okay, when fear is stopping you and it's not helpful, but when fear is actually been helpful to get you the direction that you needed, or some course correction. For me, it has happened where sometimes I was stepping out way too far and falling flat on my face, and I look back, and when I adjusted to, okay, what's the next step out of the comfort zone, not like 20 leaps out of the comfort zone, it has been really helpful. And I think that came from my past, my childhood. My dad, when I learned to drive, he just said, okay, get in the car, I'll show you how to get out of the parking lot. And then we were crossing a bridge and I was sweating, and it was like the worst experience. But that's how he kind of taught me to get out of the comfort zone. But it was way too much, I felt at the time. And sometimes I do that to myself. I jump out and I take, I'm eating 5 elephants at a time instead of 1. And so I have learned through my experience to sometimes listen to the fear and see if it's actually valid. So how do you, Julie, discern when some of the fear is beneficial to help you, and when you should not listen to it? How do you discern?
I just identify if the fear where does it come from? Is it simply because it's taking me outside of my comfort zone? Because most often it is. And I'll give you an example. When I go to the gym, we have a program that's set for 6 weeks. So I'm in a class and we're doing the same exact routine for 6 weeks. And then after 6 weeks, the instructor will change it up and put something different, new songs, new program, new routine. No one likes it. It takes about 3-4 weeks to like it. And then she'll change it up again after 6 weeks and put something else. But it's always, it's the same thing, is the fear and not enjoying being uncomfortable and stepping outside your comfort zone. So it's always try to identify what the fear is bringing up. I know for me, the fear, when I have fear, it's like a trigger signal in my brain that, wow, you're trying to do something that you've never done before. So I always try and reframe it into excitement of the new, right? Oh, this is exciting. If like last week, I got approached to be on a podcast. So someone came into my inbox to be on their podcast, and I took a look at their podcast, and the last guest that was on there is Don Mclean. Don Mclean is a singer-songwriter. He's still in the top 5 of best songs of all time with his song American Pie. And then, you can't let fear get the best of you and say, well, I'm just Julie. Her last guest was Don Mclean. He's written songs and done things for Elvis Presley. And, before he passed away, he's recorded some of his songs. He's been inducted in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He's got soon he'll have a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Who am I, to be interviewed on the podcast? So it's really not letting fear control your life and just identifying, okay, what is the fear bringing up? Why? Because like for me, for that podcast, well, I'm capable. I was, she sent me a message in my inbox, to be on her podcast. So it's just really letting go of fear and just stepping out of the comfort zone, but really it's identifying, okay, so am I pushing too far? Am I trying to go too fast and grow too fast? Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're trying to grow too fast, yeah, definitely you can fall, but it's identifying and taking, sometimes you need to take those giant leaps, right, to grow. Because if you always play safe within that comfort zone, you're never going to grow. So that's the best advice I can give, is just identify the fear. Where is it coming from? And what do you need? Because if opportunities to grow are coming to you, that's because you're capable of achieving them, right? It's just really identifying and seeing where the fear comes from and just going for it. I feel like Vishen's advice is just going after it and just, it's not, you're never going to be a failure. It's going to be you're just going to grow from it. I say let go of fear and just go for it and just dream big. That's what I feel.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah.
I relate too. I think one of the other things that's important, I love what Julie was saying about intuition, and affirmations, showing up. Like I've had all these podcasts and I never thought I'd be in the position I'm in right now, this crazy rapid growth, but just that letting go of perfection and trusting that the words will come. I am articulate. I am, and the words have come every time. Like what I'm meant to say is meant to be heard by somebody. But the other thing that I've had to learn, because my whole life people have wanted to rein me in and box me in, because even when I wasn't capable of following through with my dreams at the pace I wanted, they were still way bigger than felt safe for anybody around me. And I've had to learn to stop soliciting advice from people that don't get that don't get who I am and what I'm trying to do. And even now, I've been talking in some of these clubhouse rooms or asking questions, and people will look at my bio or hear what I'm doing, and they're like, girl, you've got way too much going on. Like you are doing way too many things. Just focus on, and there is, power in focusing on one thing for sure. I just bought that book. But I know that if I continue just rising, because I'm terrified. Like I have a book coming out, the TV thing that I have coming out, 20 more podcasts to be on. It's just like terrified. And all these people are saying, rein it in, rein it in, rein it in. But I think I have to be careful who I'm listening to. And because I know what I know. And I think we know what we know of ourselves deep down. I love that Marianne Williamson quote that it's not, it's something about our own power is what frightens us most. And for me to sit in this knowing that I may not have, I'm definitely not prepared, because this is way faster growth than I ever anticipated, but just trusting that if I get really settled and grounded and meditate, what does my gut tell me? What does my intuition tell me about how far I'm stretching or growing or reaching? And then allow the people that I do trust that are in my tribe to support me, but not necessarily, I don't listen to the advice about anything that feels like is reining me in or getting me to dim down or slow down. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but that's just been where I am right now.
Yeah, I'm noticing we're all kind of mentioning the thing about our tribe and our environment, and I'm a massive believer in that. Like, this is why we're here right now, because we're hopefully getting a bit uplifted and being vulnerable about everything, and that's why the Be on TV bootcamp thing helped many of us. And yeah, I know that I have to be surrounded by people that give me energy rather than, like Jess was saying, that kind of suck it away a little bit. And sometimes it's hard because even like people that we love the most, the surrounding us as well, might be the same people that are saying, hey, you're maybe doing too much, or you're going too far, or, you know, these crazy ideas you have. Yeah, so we have to be conscious of that. We can still be around those people and love those people, but when it comes to our big dreams, then make sure you choose and you find an environment of people and the physical environment that surrounds you, that'll lift you up. I think it's crucial, because that energy, I remember chatting to Jess, I think yesterday, like how that energy can get sucked away by just one little thing, like so fast, and then you got to rebound again. So our tribe and environment is crucial. I wanted to hear Shelley and Edison. Do you have any thoughts of the day?
I can just relate to what Jess was just saying, actually. You know, as some of you guys know, I'm in the process of a separation, and so some things are quite sore, actually. And so realizing, like, where to press in, where not to, actually, in conversations is a bit of a thing that I'm realizing even in the last week. And also figuring out who your tribe is also something that I'm taking away from this conversation, is something I really need to think about, because I'm not always surrounded in my home environment with the kinds of support or encouragement in terms of the things I want to pursue and who I am. So yeah, that I think that those are some of the things I'm taking away from today, actually. Yeah.
Is there any particular, like, I know going through that situation as well, we talked about it, Shelley. Is there any kind of particular fears that feel kind of pulling you back? I mean, it must be so many going through that.
Well, here's the thing, is that I actually don't want to focus so much on my relationship, because it is a sore spot. So the things that I want to think about and focus on are the things that are more light and bright, and the things I want to create, and touching base with those kinds of passions. And I guess the one thing that I wanted to share perhaps with the group was, I'm reading Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, and she reminds us in one of those chapters I just wrote down for myself yesterday, argue for your limitations and you get to keep them. And I was just really reflecting how deeply, in some ways, I've internalized or unconsciously argue for my own limitations, and then I get to keep them. And fear, on some level, can be mundane and boring because it's predictable, because you're always going to end up nowhere. So I was like trying to turn the coin on fear and look at it. Okay, where am I arguing for my limitations? Where is it creating predictability where I don't want it? And then looking for the parts where I can feel inspired and motivated to make the change, to make the action happen and push through the things that are nerve-wracking or fearful, and live with them, because they stick around, right? As you guys have all pointed to with your stories.
Super powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that one of the things that we need to overcome, and we are by being here on this Zoom, is the technology. I know that people are saying, well, this is a pandemic, I can't go out, or I can't meet new people, or I can't find my tribe. And I don't know if there's other people like me here that just kind of resist social media, even though I have a business and I know I have to be out there. I'm like, oh, Facebook, oh, Instagram, I have to learn all these different platforms. And now I have to like understand like reels, what the hell is that? And you just constantly, they're changing, and there's another new thing you got to learn. And I I think that embracing the technology and actually doing the same thing as you would in person. So if in person I would say hi, kind of say hi on social media or whatever, and try to connect to people so that you can find your tribe. And I think we need to find tribes of all sorts, not just one tribe. But if you're going to look at love and relationships, where's the tribe of people that are successful doing that? And if you're talking about being on TV, where's the tribe that is doing that? And if you want to be a coach, where's the tribe that are successfully coaching and getting out there and adding value to people and seeing how to connect with them through the technology that we have, is something important. Do you agree, Julie?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. It's finding your tribe. It's so important because you can create these relationships with people that even though they're online, it doesn't matter. They're real relationships. You found your tribe. Because most often, like I'll give you an example for myself. I live in a small city. It's a very small city. 70% of the population, I would say, are retired people. Well, I don't relate. I'm a business person, entrepreneur. I have big goals, big dreams, right? So the people I connect with are online. And it's really important for me to find my tribe. And then they share, like you share the same struggles and the same fears. And when you're in contact with those people and you're sharing in a safe space, why, like, for example, I came forward and I said why, I didn't put out any content or didn't do any videos and why I was scared. And then they helped me step outside my comfort zone. I think it's really important to do that. I think it really helps in growing and stepping outside our comfort zone, to do that, to reach out to people who understand you. And it doesn't matter, like even Shelley said, like in her own environment with like the family or the people she knows locally, well, even if you can't really relate or they don't understand you, it doesn't matter, because there's someone out there that you'll find your tribe out there. You'll find someone that will understand you or that has the same struggles, right? Online. So it's just to find those people. And yeah, it's really going to help.
Thanks, Julie. Edison, welcome back. It's a regular guy. I know you've got some great thoughts. I know it.
Hey, thanks, Dave. First of all, happy Valentine's, everyone.
Happy Valentine's.
Well, I love you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. You guys have amazing stories. I think for myself, I don't think my experience is similar. Is similar to a lot of people. Meaning, I think my biggest difference is my relationship with fear. When I grew up, I had, I guess, a healthy confidence in my abilities and who I was. The only area was just with women. But I'm all good now. But, it's just whenever I was fearful of something, I would just say, okay, I would just jump in. And I just have a growth mindset. How can I learn from this? And if I don't get the result I want, my mindset was, well, I'm not there yet. I just have some work to do, and that's it. And so I'm uncomfortable being comfortable. If that makes sense. I just don't like it. It's like sometimes people, are you just chilling? I'm like, no. What does chilling do? I don't know. But I do take time for myself. I take care of my self-care and all that stuff. But I don't know. When I hear people's stories, when I first started my journey of personal growth, I couldn't relate, to be honest, to a lot of people. And I was like, oh, people are going through this stuff? And then the more people I started to work with or talk to and just connect with, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And I'm, it's been 2 decades now, so I can somewhat understand a lot of it, right? But it's been very interesting to me. And I think just hearing from what you guys are saying, it's just, I think, I don't know if this will help, but if you're able to create a relationship with fear that it actually serves you instead of hurting you, I think it may help you just be able to push past that invisible barrier, and it is invisible. There's an invisible wall that we kind of put up. And if we just won't say, you know what, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to learn something through this experience. And the quicker you do it, the faster you learn, and the quicker you get to where you want to be. So, yeah, that's kind of all I have to share. You know, I wrote down in the thing, you know, my biggest fear is just not fulfill my potential.
Yeah. I share that one too as well, Edison. It's like constantly, I feel like I want to be at that big scale of like, how can I help 1 million people, and how beyond 1 million people. I'll also be super happy if I can help one person, or just my daughter, right? But yeah, I feel like I won't be fully fulfilled unless that's why my vision is creating a platform so that it can be big scale to help people, because there's been so many people kind of close to me and family members that are struggling with a lot of fears and blocks and negative self-talk and everything. So, you know, I have that fear as well of like missing out on this big scale thing that I want to help people. Yeah,
I have a question
it comes
for
in
Edison.
so many forms. Go ahead, Nina.
I have a question for Edison. Did your parents do something while raising you to create this kind of, you know, you just jump in? I ask because I'm a mother. So,
Well, yes, but not in the way that you might think. So my parents, traditional Vietnamese, Asian background, what is success to them? It's academics, become a doctor, lawyer, what have you, right? And out of me and my two brothers, I was the one with the most potential. I was basically, they picked me as the doctor, basically. And I was, my biggest passion was sports, and that was my dream. And for me, I just fought them so hard. I was like, I'll do the school, but support me in sports. They would never support me. They would stifle any attempt, and they would really just, it felt like a knife being stabbed behind my back, and sometimes right into my chest, and just twisting it. I'm just like, and all I ever wanted from my parents was acceptance. That was it. Just love me because I'm your freaking son. I'm a human being. That's it. Not because I can get A's, but you know, I get it, right? They're from the old country and different values and upbringing. I get that, right? And I don't hold anything against them. I love them. I appreciate everything they've done for me. But for me, it was that fighting spirit, if you will. I was like, I gotta, like, yeah. I don't know if that, hopefully that answers the question.
yeah, it's helpful because sometimes as parents, we try to create all this perfect environment and stuff. And I think that is detrimental at times. Like the other day, my son and stepdaughter, they wanted something from the trunk, and then I was like waiting for them. They can't reach to close the trunk, and I thought I'll just let them figure it out. I didn't know that there was somebody in another car behind where we parked watching all this. And so there I am just kind of watching them struggle, and they're like trying to figure out, you know, one of them is like, let me try. Okay, let me try. And they couldn't, you know, it took maybe like 10 minutes until they figured out how to close it. And before they figured out, this guy comes out from the car and he goes, great perseverance, kids, and da-da-da. And I'm like red now because I'm like, oh, that I might look like a bad mother that doesn't want to help or whatever. But then he was like, good job, he said to me. And I was like, yeah, okay. And the kids finally figured it out. And it was a little thing. But this is how I know my kids are privileged. They were mad at me for not helping. And they were like, you watched us struggle. And I was thinking, wow, you know, how do I create the spirit of, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to go for it. And I know this is hard, but I'm going to do it. They did it, but they were actually not too happy that they had to work hard for it. So, you know, it's hard as a parent to create these kind of environments, you know, if you love them and you want to support them too. Like Dave, you're a parent. Do you have any 2 cents on this?
If I could add one quick thing before Dave goes, this is what I wish my parents would have valued more, was not necessarily the grades or the result, but the effort.
The effort.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And focus on that instead of, you know, why are you not bringing home A's? You used to have A's last year. Like, I don't care. I tried. Do you not see that? Right? And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally Totally agree with that. I think that came up again from Vishen stuff. he was doing a big rant about education, right? The education system and why we're all spending tons of money getting into debts, going to universities, and then to only use a very low percentage of what we learn at those universities in our actual lives in the future. But yeah, he or someone else made the point about, why are we in this grading system of you're top of the class, you're the A-star students, you're the F guys, you're struggling, and then it kind of encourages this value system of us as kids as we're not good enough, when really all that he was describing should matter is where's your performance compared to yesterday's performance of you, like you versus you all the time of, what's the next, I think Tom Billy said, what's the next, what's the energy the energy of you today for the next version of you tomorrow. That's really all it comes down to, you versus you. I like that. That always stuck with me. And I try and use that for my daughter as well. Like we had to actually use it recently that there was this game going on in the class, and it was to do with tickets and stealing tickets from each other if you perform. So it was a competitive setup between the whole class, and it seriously made Callie upset. So that was a classic example of luckily she's a confident girl, so it didn't affect her too much, but she was coming home saying, oh, I'm way behind in the chart of tickets, there's no way I can catch up. So she's already building that mentality, and we have to be careful. You have to be careful of any kind of ranking or value system against other people, I think.
Yeah. So Julie, do you have any quick rapid tactics if we're gonna do something scary? What would we do right before we do it, to kind of set ourselves up to push through?
I would say take a deep breath and just remember why you signed up for that in the first place, or why you wanted to do that in the first place. So take a deep breath, remember why, what's the ultimate goal? Why did you sign up for this? Why do you want to do this? Do you want to impact people? Do you want to change people's lives? Do you want to just come up with the reasons? And then after that, if it's still aligned with the person that you are and the person, because every single day we always strive to become the best version of ourselves, right? So I'm not the same person today as I was, a month ago, 2 months ago, 5 years ago. I'm not. So when you just have to remember why, ask yourself why, and then is it still aligned? Yes, then go for it. That's it. No hesitation. Just go for it. You know what? Just deal with whatever happens after. So if you succeed, then just deal with that after. If you fail, or if it doesn't go your way, just don't worry about that beforehand. Just worry about that after. When I was a child, I used to worry all the time about exams or different things. And I would worry for 2 weeks before the exam or the oral presentation. And then I remember in English class, I was so worried about it. I ended up being the best speaker in the class. I ended up with the highest mark. But I was worried for 2 weeks before that for absolutely no reason. So that's what I would say to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we're having a good conversation when an hour and a half flies by, but so we should wrap it up soon. Does anyone have any questions for Julie or anyone before we wrap up? No.
If there's no questions, why don't we do a quick rapid fire, one takeaway that we want to make sure we don't forget as we leave today. And it could be repetitive, as long as we just kind of to end with a, this is the one takeaway I want to make sure I remember tomorrow. And it always enlivens the whole group, because what you will take away might be different than what I would take away. How about we just do a quick rapid takeaway?
Sounds great.
Who would like to start? Or Dave will volunteer you.
I'll start then. Before
Gary, sorry, Gary, jump in.
So yeah, sorry. No. So there's actually, I have two big takeaways actually. I really liked the tribe aspect, because it's something, I mean, I haven't really been involved in, especially the last while. I mean, that's one thing about the last year that I have been a bit more removed from, and I realize the importance of that. So for me, just hearing that again from pretty well everybody, just reinforce that. So that's given me some really good energy to you know, again, get in that tribe, in that circle of support. And then the other thing just about the fears, that yeah, because I can remember I used to be fearful of going to a new yoga class. And it was funny because I felt when I went there, I had, like, I mean, I didn't know exactly what the setup was, didn't know the instructor. And it took me a while to switch it to realizing that, well, I shouldn't know everything. I don't know the instructor. It's going to be new. It's going to be exciting. And so, and I'd sort of forgotten a bit about that because I haven't been doing things as publicly as much. So I really appreciate that whole fear turning into excitement. Like, why did you sign up for the first place? What did you want to accomplish? And really, yeah, sort of the fear makes you alive. Like, it's not a fear to be afraid. It's a fear of excitement. It's a fear of unknown, a fear of learning. So, yeah, so a couple of big takeaways. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. So.
Thanks, Gary. All right, Suki.
I have two takeaways too. One is Julie said there's 3 things for a week, because I used to set like 3 things a day but end up doing nothing. So now I feel like if I make 3 things in a week, I might set up myself for wins, for victory, not set up myself for failure. Because sometimes when I list 3 things, I end up didn't do anything. Then it's just, oh, what's the point? This is the one I'm gonna change my planning mind for the next week. And also, Nina, you said embrace the technology, because I remember after the documentary Social Dilemma, I watched that documentary, and I felt like, oh, I should stay away with any technology. I need to have some like a fast of technology. But actually, my business need these social platform, but I just try to stay away from them because I don't know how to do them, and I find a perfect excuse because this documentary told me they are evil. but thanks for your reminder. It's just a tool. I'm the one should set boundary. How many times I use them, how to set my personal space, my professional space. So that I literally feel that I feel a blockage lift up. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Shelley.
I love what Suki just said there. You get to set your own boundaries. And along that lines is you also get to pick your tribe and discern who you solicit and take advice from to get you to where you want to go. So those were some of my takeaways. And the other was connecting to your why, because that's where you find the ignition to the passion that's going to help propel you forward.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shelley. Mark?
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. 2 things, and they actually made me think, so I'm coming up with things as a coach that I'm going to mention. So I'm going to do this quickly, but fears, what came to me is how we break through them. But and at a certain point, I realized that I have to identify the fear, but I have to identify, is it a real fear, or is it coming from my gut, or is it coming from my head, right? Is it coming from my parents and all my surroundings telling me I shouldn't, I can't? Grandma used to say this is dangerous or whatever. Or is it an actual fear? Like, if I do launch this whole business, will I burn out again like I did 4 years ago? And is that burnout fear coming from my head or my gut? And I know it's from my head. I know it's a residual effect from my head. And there's no chance of me going back down that road. Or I do a lot of alpine skiing with my daughter, and she's 7 years old, so we get the blacks and double black runs, the expert runs, and she's looking down, and she can do them, by the way. It's just the color affects her. Oh, it's a black, or a grandma will be freaking out here. And I'm like, well, is that the real fear? Like, are you actually incapable of doing it? And she's like, no, I could, but I'm not doing it. I'm like, wow. So we got to break through that. And usually, is it from the head or the gut? Like, is there a real danger or not? And my second takeaway was, Julie, and connect to your why. And I was in another course this morning, and it was clear. So when fear shows up and you want to see your why, you could see your result. What's the actual tangible result if I break through it? And you can visualize what it feels like to be living this new way, or this what does it look like to be this new person? And then you can add, what does it feel like to be this new person? So when you're visualizing, what are the emotions I'm going to have? What are the emotions of the people I'm going to help? Feel the outcome and visualize the outcomes. And that'll get you right back on track and figure out if it's a real fear or a real danger or not a real danger.
That's awesome. Yeah. So well explained. Thanks. Edison.
All great points. I think for me, my one big takeaway from me was what Julie said at the end there, is to just take a deep breath and just reconnect with the why. I don't remind myself to just slow down sometimes and just, it's all good. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Jess.
Yeah, my head is spinning because I have so many, I can't narrow it down. But I love what everyone has said, actually. But for me, it's reconnecting with that why as well. And if I can visualize, like, what would happen if, just fast forward to my biggest dreams, like how many people will I serve and help? What's the impact going to be why am I doing this? And who's it going to help? And that usually, if I keep it outside myself, that's where I can overcome the fear too. But also just not being afraid of myself anymore and my own, because as it relates to finding my tribe, that if I find my people, like just that energy. And the other big shift that I was talking to people before is, like, my network now is global as a result of everything that's happened the last couple of months, and that energy, it can transcend distance. It goes through the technology, and I guess the embracing the technology piece, because that's where the energy and like this jolt of like, I can do it is being found for me. So really it's just embracing it all.
I'm writing notes. Thanks. Awesome. Nina.
Awesome. You guys have such really great points. I wrote everything down. I really, some of the things Julie said that were great. And I love the reframing piece, because I just listened to a podcast and they talked about how college students, when they were told they were going to do a test, they were getting worse marks. But when they were told it was a puzzle, they were doing just as good as everybody else. Like this was a study on different ethnic groups. And yeah, certain ethnic groups, when they were told it was a test, they were doing worse than other people. And it's really interesting, the whole reframing fear into excitement. I really loved that. And I also love the piece about just practicing connecting with your why and then going out there and doing it. I think that we do not realize the value of practice. Like when I tell my students, for example, do something 3 times, 5 times, I make them do something 10 times, and it's amazing. When they hear 10 times, I don't know. But after 3 or 4, they're just so much more fluent. And I tell them, it's 10,000 times really, but just even 10 you see a huge improvement. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that, Julie. That was awesome. And there was something about the results, like not worrying about it before, dealing with it later. That was super crucial, because I think I spent a lot of time worrying about things, or just ruminating in my mind about them. And I think if I would just think why, connect to my why, and take a deep breath and go do it, and then I can worry about how it went after. It's so much better. It just makes more sense to worry, not worry, to think about it after it's happened than before that it hasn't happened, right? So that was, I really appreciate that, Julie. That was really awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Nina. Well, we'll finish off with Julie in a second because you're the highlight. So for me, definitely, like, Julie's already helped me to think bigger than I was thinking before. Like, we're talking about sending in a thing to Authority magazine, which, you know, never would have been on my radar. And I speak to Julie and she's like, oh yeah, like, you'll nail this, just do it. So it's always that just do it approach of just taking action. And that was my commitment to 2021, is just to show up with courage despite the fear. Like, every single time, just push into it. 99 times out of 100, whatever comes up, just try and push through and take action, like Julie was saying. But yeah, this thinking big, even what I was thinking at the start of the year, now I think, like Julie says, I can think even bigger. And that's going to give you momentum and connect you to more and more people to create what I need to create for this platform. So thanks, Julie. Over to you.
Well, I just wanted to end with just everyone has fear. I've never met anyone in my life, and it doesn't matter how successful you are. Every single person I've ever talked to or met, they all have fear. It's just learning to reframe that fear. So, and honestly, never stop working on yourself. Self-development is so important. The book I just read is called The Big Leap, and it talks about that as well. It talks about just letting go of fear and pushing past your limitations. And it's a great book. It's really good. And it's always learning new tips and tricks, and sign up for that class, or, you know, find your tribe. Or even for myself, like, I coach people all the time how to let go of fear, you know, step outside your comfort zone, push past your limitations. But I have to coach myself sometimes and just listen to my own advice, because I get fear. Everyone gets fear, right? It just to know. But honestly, the last tips that I gave with centering yourself, taking a deep breath, and asking yourself, you know, why? I think that's so important. And you'll find out a lot of different things. And you might even find out that the person that you were, or the person you wanted to become two years ago, is not the person that you are today. So maybe it's not going to be a perfect fit for you anymore, and you're just going to take a different path. But definitely always recenter and start with why. I think it's really, you'll get a lot of answers with that.
All right. Well, Julie, thanks. We need to, what's the best way for people to get hold of you? That sounds like a real podcast episode when I say that. How can people get hold of you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, so everyone on this Zoom call is in the group. So on the Facebook group, so they can just send me a friend request or messenger and just get a hold of me. And then if they go on my profile on Facebook, they'll see my website. So it's julieblouin.com. I'm also on Instagram. So it's Julie _ my last name Blouin _ coaching. I'm on Clubhouse. That's at Julie Blouin. So I'm on all the social media, but probably the easiest way to find me is just in the group. Click on my profile.
So I enjoyed the whole session, so I can probably just upload it without editing, which would be a treat for me. So I'll upload it and tag Julie's stuff. And Nina, if you want to reach out to Nina. Nina, what's your Instagram thing quickly?
Connect with Nina, or just ninaperez.ca is my website, and you can see everything we do there.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll wrap up and let you guys enjoy the rest of Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's, everyone.
Thanks. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.